Well, I think a lot of it is multiple dimensions, and I've said this in my own work for some time. Now, let's look at Christianity for a moment, because the Christians are getting quite noisy right now. We've had born-agains knocking on the door recently, trying to convince us, that our souls need saving. And I've tried to explain that the Bible has been misinterpreted so many times. I mean, if you take the book of Revelations, the word apocalypse actually means lifting of the veil. The word Lucifer means bringer of light. So all of these things that they're telling us, oh my God, we've got to be careful of the apocalypse and Lucifer and whatever, perhaps that's exactly what we do need. And when you look at the stories of things like the rapture, for instance, which they keep pushing down our throats right now, the rapture isn't actually mentioned in the Bible at all. It came about as a concept in, I think, the 18th century. So do you think the Christians are probably the ones that have got it wrong, and the spiritual people, like the people like Glastonbury and whatever, are actually now being proven right?
Oh dear, right and wrong, good and bad, Christian, non-Christian. I believe that most religions now are still functioning from a place of fear. So they're not wrong, they're just coming from an energy that maybe doesn't understand or comprehend in the way us light workers do. Now, that doesn't mean that us light workers are right, because maybe we are being duped, and maybe there's something out there that is, trying to make us believe in love and light, and that ultimately there will be a peace, and who knows. But as I've said to you many times before, I would much prefer to live in the reality of love and peace and blessings, and call me airy fairy if you like, but I feel way much better now than I ever have done, and that's because I've got out of the fear and the negativity. So I don't feel that there's particularly a right or wrong. I just think it's a very different perception on one and the same thing, really.
Now, you play a big part with the Crystal Skulls conferences around the world. You're going to one in America, I know, in October. You've got your own event in November in Kent, which we'll talk about a little later. How do you think the Crystal Skulls are playing out with regards to the whole 2012 scenario?
Well, I tell you, they have made a humongous difference in my life, and I hand on heart say that without working with the Crystal Skulls and that consciousness, I would not be sitting here saying how blissful and peaceful and wonderful I feel. They do make you look at your shadows and stuff, so sometimes things don't seem that pleasant when you're working with them, but as far as 2012, again, 2012 has been seen to be this awakening or this apocalypse, depending on your perception. And for me, the Crystal Skulls play a big part in the awakening and helping us to get out of that fear and into that love vibration. So 2012, it's a bit, again, I've said to you before, it's a bit of an odd date for me, because I don't believe for 1 minute that things are going to be completely different for everybody beyond 2012. It's a gradual process. We've been awakening or not, depending on our choice, for a long, long time. Obviously the prophecies say that these ancient skulls are coming together in 2012, December the 21st, and that's going to be massive turning point. But like we've said before, it's just entering into another dimension. It's just entering into a different frequency, a different way of being. And the Crystal Skulls, for me, are part of that. Now, whether there's 12 special ones coming together, 13 lots of 13, or thousands and thousands on that particular date, well, I'm sure there will be hundreds of thousands coming together on that particular date, because I'm sure pretty much all light workers all over the world are going to be doing conferences and all manner of stuff. So yeah, because everybody's focused on that date, and obviously there is going to be a lot of stuff happening, there is going to be a shift, no two ways about it. But it's the same as the 10-10-10 this year. There's going to be a big shift. I'm sure there'll be loads of things happening on 11-11 next year, and then obviously 12-12 or 21-12, depending on which you choose to do. Again, there's going to be another big shift, and so it's constant. So those of us, as I say, choosing to awaken, are going to be pretty enlightened and awakened, I think, come December 2012.
Well, there's stuff happening already. I mean, I've been looking at spaceweather.com, and we've had two coronal mass ejections from the sun over the past 2 weeks, both of which has hit us as what the scientists are calling solar tsunamis. They're interfering with satellites, with electricity, with communications. People's tellies are crackling. You're losing pictures on your satellite. Now, at the moment, we've only had two what I would call fairly minor ones, a C-class and an M-class. But they're saying that the solar activity is going to increase between now and 2012, with it peaking in 2013. Now, that's the official NASA report. The worry is, from the scientific angle, is if there is going to be any major damage, it may actually be caused by the sun and not by something here on Earth.
How curious. I have to ponder that for a moment. But kind of as you're talking about it, the kind of information that I'm getting around that, or the kind of the thought process that's going on with me around that is, because again, I'm blissfully unaware of it. So could you argue, I don't know, food for thought for some viewers, but could you argue that those of us that are of that higher vibration and, like me, living blissfully unaware of what's going on in the world, because I had no clue about that, and it hasn't affected me. My phones and computers and everything else has been all right. So yeah, a curious one. I mean, yeah, okay. I mean, maybe it will happen scientifically. Maybe all these things will go up the wonk, but they go up the wonk for me when Mercury's retrograde. So, I mean...
Yeah, me too.
I don't know. I just... My sense is, do you know what? And I hadn't really realised it until right this second, but my sense is that those of us that are actually evolving and awakening and are really being true to ourselves probably won't be hugely affected. And I think it's those that are, choosing to remain in that kind of third dimension or fourth astral dimension kind of frequency that maybe they're going to struggle a wee bit more. I don't know.